Why the American dream died a long time ago, and what is the real alternative that young people should pursue right now? Is there really a future worth looking forward to as a young person? I want to give my honest thoughts about this and give you my sort of perspective on the whole American dream in 2026 and beyond. So if this is the first video that you're seeing of me, this channel is all about navigating the modern world as a young person. So I'm currently 28 years old right now, average guy from Wisconsin, and I'm pretty much making these videos just to pretty much document how I am navigating through the modern world as far as how to make money, how to escape corporate America, and of course, how to live a life of freedom and try your very best to replicate the lifestyle or quality of life that your parents and grandparents had before us. So if you like videos like that and you want to hear more of my takes, then feel free to subscribe and check out some of the other videos that I have right here. So the American dream was all about you, you graduate from high school, you go to university for a couple years, 4 years, 2 to 4 years, and then hopefully you get some type of high paying career in a field that you're interested in. You start working, and the whole concept was the man goes to work, earns a good living, and then he gets married, has kids, and his one income alone ideally should be enough to support that entire family. And so that was the case with the boomers. It was the case with, Gen Xers in most cases. And then as the millennials came aboard, they were promised that future as well. But as time has progressed in the early 2000s and then to the 20s, then it started to dwindle. And then as a result, the birth rate started to go down drastically. So since the 1960s, the birth rate has been on a steadily decline. And that is primarily because cost of living is more unaffordable than it's ever been. So for the average young person right now, they go to work 40 hours a week, and that in itself is barely enough to live comfortably on your own, let alone supporting an entire family. And so as time progresses on further, it seems to be only getting worse. And so one thing that I keep seeing a lot is I keep seeing a lot of like young people and even older folks too that are like working, these average retail jobs, many of them past the age of 60 and 70. And then I also see a lot of people choosing to live in their car as opposed to getting their own place. Now, of course, is that the ideal lifestyle that you're looking for? Probably not, especially if you're working, if you're spending, a third of your life at a job that you most likely don't enjoy going to. But that is unfortunately the reality for a lot of people right now. And so personally, the way that, the American system is set up right now, you kind of have to be obsessed with making money. And so if you are not, always pursuing more ways of making money beyond a regular 9 to 5, then you're unfortunately going to be living paycheck to paycheck for the rest of your life, unless if you are lucky enough to land a high paying position. And so even if you do happen to land a high paying position, the wages are not increasing at the same rate as cost of living. So this is regardless of who's in office, whether it's on the left or right. The elites are continuing to print trillions of dollars every single year. And so this is making it harder for the average everyday American to live comfortably on their own. So ideally, the best thing that you can do is go the route of job hopping every single year or so. Always be looking for that next high paying position. Apply to that highest paying position in your local area as much as you possibly can, and be willing to move out of your local city if you want to go that route. Or there's the option of going into a trade, which that involves a lot of manual labor, and less and less people are willing to do that. And then, of course, there is the risk of AI taking positions. So you could either decide to learn about AI, and maybe you can use that to make money. And there's plenty of things you could do with AI, of course, that you could look into. But I believe the best approach, the safest approach for average everyday people is to earn an income online. And I know not everyone wants to, start an online business and be, this internet entrepreneur type of person. But when you really think about it, it seems like that is the best, the safest way to live, to have that comfortable lifestyle. And so the benefit of having an online business is you have location freedom. And the reason why I personally have chosen this path almost a decade ago is because I wanted the freedom and flexibility to not only live wherever I wanted, but I wanted to spend more time with family. So from the very first job that I had when I was 16 years old, I was working as a busboy in an Italian restaurant that was local to me. My aunt worked at that restaurant when she was 16 years old, and the owner, who recently passed away, knew her, and then she hired me on the spot when I went there for lunch one day after school, basically. So I remember shortly after getting that job, the number one thing that's always bothered me about working and just in general, even though I was only part-time, was missing out on family events, missing out on holidays because I had to be at work. And then, oftentimes I would get done with work right as they're finishing up. So I'd stop by for 5 minutes, and then I feel like I'm missing out on life, basically. And that was the case with every job that I've had. Every job that I worked, that was always a thing that I missed out on. So I come from a fairly large family, and as time has progressed further, there's less and less get-togethers because more people have moved out, more people are living on their own, they've moved away, they're all, working 40 hours a week, and so that gives everyone less time to spend with family. Now, one other thing that I've been looking into recently is I've been looking at a lot of travel vlogs. I've been looking at, living in other countries like in Europe or Asia. And one thing that I see with a lot of people that, live in these other countries is they're able to have a lot more free time to spend with family. And so what seems to be a much larger priority in a lot of these other countries is you have a lot more time to spend with family. You have a lot more paid time off of work. And if you are someone that is looking to potentially start a family, you want to go the route of getting married and having kids and all that, in the West, it's more expensive than it's ever been. So even if you do happen to get let's say a, 6-figure per year job, and maybe your wife is also working and is making good money as well, well, the thing that you have to think about is even if you do manage to get your own place and you have a big house where you could raise a family together, by the time that your kids are around your age, when they enter their 20s and they're entering the workforce, the cost of living is most likely going to be much worse than it is right now. And so it's going to be even more unattainable for the next generation, for, Gen Alpha or, whatever is next after that, to live comfortably in the United States. And I hate saying this because it makes me feel like I'm almost unpatriotic of the US, and I try to always look at the, the positive of everything, but it just seems like the more I look into it, it just seems like it is becoming a lot harder to live in the West right now. And so you could be the most patriotic, American out there, but if you are not able to live comfortably on your own, then it's very hard to feel optimistic about the future of the United States. So my personal recommendation is find a way to earn an income online. That is the main message that I want to get across in this video. Whether you decide to get some sort of remote job, you do freelancing, or if you want to start an online business, if you want to see what I do, for example, I do digital marketing, and that's where you just promote other companies' products online. All you really need to make money with that is you just need a way to generate attention online. As long as you could do that for, you learn how to get in front of a specific demographic of people, whether that is with free social media or running paid ads, then you could pretty much promote whatever you want. And I recommend promoting digital products because those pay out higher commissions compared to promoting physical products. So if you want to learn more about that, then I have a training down below that you could check out, and you could join my private community if you want, and I will go more in depth about how you could do this full time. Otherwise, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Give us a thumbs up and take care. See you in the next one.